G'day race fans, our first ever guest on the Ground Effect podcast, none other than WimboFormula, maybe the biggest Max Verstappen fan on YouTube. Would I be right, Wimbo?
G'day, mate. Yeah, I think in the F1 YouTubers creation atmosphere, I'm the biggest Max fan. And I'm pretty much the only Dutch F1 YouTuber who does his content in English.
So the Max Spurt, we'll call you then.
You can call me whatever you like.
You do like to, I guess, get under the skin of some of those Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris fans though, right?
Well, I have to explain that I started making content to fight the old famous British bias. Let's say just after 2021, after Max won his first controversial championship, the British media hated Max. Every opportunity they got, they swung stories in a certain direction. I didn't like that. At that time, I was already growing kind of a bit of a community on my Twitter page. I got an invite from a guy who owns a F1 news page to write columns. So I wrote a few of those. They got read very well. You know, a lot of people were reading those, got a lot of comments. And then I was watching Matt and Tommy, still working for WTF1. And I just thought, hey, that's so awesome. I can do that as well. Especially when one time I had sent in a prediction and they read it out. So I heard my own username on the WTF1 podcast. And I thought, this is amazing to hear my name on YouTube.
You've been validated.
Yeah. So October 2022, I started my YouTube channel. And the main goal was to fight British bias and to write these stories about how I saw things differently. Yeah, and that meant that I had to defend Michael Masi. Yeah, now I'm 3.5 years later. Slow down a little bit, but I'm still really, really enjoying it.
I guess that's kind of why we started. Let's create something and talk about it the way we see it, which is generally more neutral. We do have, I'm a Lewis fan, so I'm offended that you're wearing that T-shirt, but I wasn't going to say anything. No, but I completely understand the whole bias thing. So you did just mention that you had to defend Michael Masi. Now, I was going to ask you this question at some point. Now, do you think Michael Masi did the right thing?
Well, that whole season was based on letting them race. We had this brilliant season because Michael Masi made these odd decisions all season long. And that started in Bahrain when they noticed, race control noticed that Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas were cutting that corner, gaining a couple of tenths. They noticed that halfway through the race when GP told Max to do it as well. And then the solution could have been to penalize Valtteri Bottas and Hamilton, or to tell everybody to do it. They just decided nobody could do it anymore, which was kind of an odd decision. Then, for instance, Baku, the puncture, that could have finished behind the safety car easily. There was only 2 laps or something left. But he pulled a red flag also because there could be the possibility of more punctures. At that stage, doing a red flag was also a strange decision. Then there was the decision to negotiate a grid drop during the race in Jeddah. When Max had cut a corner or pushed somebody off, and they said, okay, you're starting from P3. Yeah. All these things were to let Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fight it out. Then Abu Dhabi came. Autosport wrote a beautiful open letter to Max because this was a special race. They were pretty much begging Max not to run into Lewis and DNF them both because the race was so important and the fans deserved it. And, well, you should look it up, Autosport, the open letter. So that's how important that race was. Then there was a agreement with all the team principals that races should be finished under green conditions. So when Latifi DNF'd 5 laps before the end, Masi just did everything he could to get that race going again. At some point, he thought, okay, we'll get the race going again, but Max is behind those back markers because there isn't time to let them go through. And then Jonathan Wheatley came up with this brilliant idea to only do the ones in between, and then you have your one lap of racing.
Yep.
And then we went racing in a season where all his decisions were based on letting them race. He let that last lap being raced.
Yeah.
Now you could say, oh, it's unfair because tires. Well, Mercedes had opted for track position all race long. All
Exactly
race
right.
long. They pitted Lewis from mediums to hards really early because they didn't want Max to gain anything after he had pitted early. Yeah, they cherished that track position. He had it in that last lap. But he got surprised in turn 5 and the rest is history.
Yeah.
You know?
I still think that turn 5, like how he just left the door open. Like when I look back at it, and I'm sure Lewis does look back at that moment and go, what was I thinking leaving that much space?
Yeah, well, look, I think he probably knew he wasn't on the right tyre for a start. Red Bull played a blinder and brought him in and got him on that soft tyre. Fair play to him, and I think he sort of looked like he left the door open because he was trying to square off the exit because he knew he just didn't have the traction on against the soft tyre. So
possibly, but I mean that track in itself, though, it is a tough track to pass on. It's not an easy one.
Yeah.
But Mercedes made a mistake because if they had kept Lewis Hamilton on those mediums from the start until he cleared Checo Perez, then he wouldn't have been held up for 7-8 seconds. And then when the virtual safety car came, because one of the Alfa Romeos, I think it was Kimi Raikkonen, he DNF'd and we had a virtual safety car by request of Toto Wolff, because he said, Michael, no safety car. It interferes with the race too much. And that was okay, but Jonathan Wheatley interfering at the end, no, that was not okay, according to Team LH. So yeah, that's the stuff that I was fighting when I started my YouTube channel. But the funny thing is that perspective changes because Lewis hasn't won a race last year and he was struggling at Mercedes, so the hate dies down. And I never hated him, but that's all in the past now. And then I started hating Lando Norris.
The new target. New target has been acquired.
And his fans are just as annoying.
You gave me my answer, and
but what's your opinion?
More than what I was expecting.
I think Mick is actually pretty impressed with the detail you went into. And you may have even swayed this Hamilton fan to be like, you know what, Lewis, it is actually really 7 world championships. Not
it is. But we'll come forward. We've now got the new regulation change. I wanted to get your opinion. Do you think with these new regulations, we are going to see better racing? I think you did a mid-season kind of review where 2025 was quite boring. Do you think that 2026 is going to be better?
Well, what I've noticed from the regulation change in 2022 is that when a new regulation starts, the gaps are bigger, and that makes overtaking easier. The way it was last season, Alpine was in last place, but if you had to overtake them, it was still a challenge because of the dirty air and whatever. But yeah, with these gaps being bigger, like the Cadillacs and the Audis, and I think the Haas cars, the V-Carb cars, those 8 cars are, I think, quite a bit slower than the 4 top teams. So yeah, if for some reason, there's a pit stop and you're behind them, then they can clear them quite quickly. Yeah, that's what we want to see, even though it's just because one car is slow and the other one's fast. But I mean, 2022, it gave us some brilliant racing between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. But then, the teams will start developing, and then dirty air will come back. And then, all the cars will get so much faster, and then the races and the seasons will get boring again, even though the cars are much closer. The
gaps start off so massive, and we get to the end of the regulation and they're so close, so it becomes impossible to overtake. Who do you think has the advantage at the moment? Like, at the time of recording this, we've only just seen shakedown.
Yeah.
Who's sandbagging?
I think it's going to be between George Russell and Max Verstappen. Max has a benefit because he's just a racing nerd. So with these gimmicky regulations, with using energy in certain places and getting through a corner in a certain way, regenerating the energy, and what I can't even explain now because we don't know yet. But Max will be on top of that very quickly, and then George Russell will have the benefit of the strongest engine and a really good package. I do think that Kimi Antonelli is going to hamper Russell a bit because that kid's getting better, and there's gonna be times when he's going to qualify in front of George. Yeah, he's going to take points from Russell, and hopefully he'll crash into Russell sometime.
Well, some of the memes going around with those two, It's
yeah, I think they
could
call
be
him
written.
Kimi Talibantonelli.
Yeah. That's so good.
So at this point, you're writing the McLarens off the McLarens off at the moment.
They're taking a different approach with the development. What I've heard is that they're building a very basic car, and then they're going to look at all the other teams to see what really works, and then they're going to implement that as well. So
interesting strat.
After race 8 or 12, we're going to see a much stronger McLaren, but the gap might already be too big then. I done my predictions for 2025, and I had 3 correct out of the 10 teams and the 20 drivers. So that shows you how much I know.
Sorry, we've done a few predictions in the past, and I think there was only one time we got pretty close. So out of 24 rounds.
Yeah, I think our record was like 2 out of 24.
Like, I did my season and my team and driver prediction yesterday. I thought, I'm just going to let George Russell win, and then as I was typing it out, I said, no. Max is going to win.
The Dutch delusion.
I cannot vote against him. Can't do it.
The Dutch delusion.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's our year this year, mate. Lewis is going to get the job done. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
I personally,
honestly, I don't really think so. But
I can't see Lewis beating Charles Leclerc. That's my issue, even if that Ferrari is competitive.
Well, my worry for Lewis Hamilton is that he's never been a guy that is much on the sim. He's a very natural talent. You put him in a car and he brakes late and he steps on the gas really early, and that's his whole gimmick. He's good on tires, and that was perfect when he had the strongest engine with the best traction and everything. Yeah, in the ground effect era, his whole racing needed to change. First, he tried to change Mercedes by getting all these changes made on the car, and nothing really worked. And now he's at Ferrari, and the regulations have changed. Now, what I've heard is that these cars suit him a little bit better. But the gimmicky stuff of deploying energy, that sort of stuff, I think Lewis will be lacking that a little bit. Drivers with lots of gamemanship like Max and Charles and Fernando, and then these sim kids, I think they'll do much better.
So I was going to say, do you think the younger generation of driver will probably perform better under these new regulations than, say, like the older guys?
That's what I think.
Now, the rumours, the compression ratio. Is this true?
Red Bull poached a lot of people from Mercedes, and one of them knew about this trick, and then they implemented it as well.
And do you think that Red Bull powertrain...
With Ford. Don't forget Ford.
Well, yeah, Red Bull Ford powertrain, sorry. Will be a match for the Mercedes? Well, obviously you do because you think Max is going to win the championship.
Yeah, because Honda makes really good engines. The Red Bull powertrains took over loads of staff.
A lot of the IP.
Yeah. And the IP.
They poached like 220 people from Mercedes who just came from the V6 hybrid era. So they know something. Money was not an issue. Yeah. I don't see why they should be lacking any performance on that engine. At this point, it's just a theory.
We don't know, right?
we know they didn't break down like 5-6 times during the first preseason testing. So
yeah.
Well, the shakedown didn't show us too much as far as it seems to be like reliability is pretty good across the board at this point in time.
I'm hearing that they were all allowed to use the normal fuel.
I think we mentioned it on our review. I wasn't 100% sure.
The
given
biofuel that could cause problems, and not even just for this testing, but if it's extremely cold like in Las Vegas or extremely hot, then maybe the Shell biofuel that Ferrari has might give them issues.
Because it changes the density, right? Because it's...
Yeah, well, that's another theory I just came up with, but it makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And what about Max's teammate for the year? How do you think he's going to go? Is he under massive pressure? Say like the teammates of past?
Well, I think Red Bull has become much kinder without Christian Horner and Helmut Marko there. And I think they want to get rid of that hard image that they have. So that'll help Isaac. And then there's new regulations, so Max needs to get used to things, and so does he. And then the car will be probably a little bit rudimentary from the start, which will benefit Hadjar as well. Yeah. Like Perez did okay in 2022.
Yeah, true.
And then the car was a real rocket ship in 2023, and he finished second in the standings. And then towards the end of that season, the Perez problems started happening. And then in 24, he fell off a cliff because the car was so developed, and only Max could handle that. But I don't see that happening with the RB22 this season. Well, not at the start of the season anyway. And
definitely.
Yeah, Hadjar can get his confidence. And
I think they'll be much more nurturing with their talent going forward. Red Bull.
Yeah,
more patience.
It was just a bad look because of the internal struggles. They couldn't get rid of Helmut Marko. Because Helmut Marko was placed in between Red Bull GmbH and Red Bull Racing.
You think Christian Horner will make a comeback very soon? Do you think those rumors regarding Alpine, maybe a buyout? You would have seen the Alpine launch, no doubt, when the one on the boat in Barcelona. Flavio Briatore, he was looking he can't hold on that position much longer, surely.
Surely not.
He was looking pretty weak physically.
Yeah. So do you think that's going to be a swap? Well,
I don't know. I mean, obviously the rumors. I mean, Horner still wants skin in the game, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But the rumors were he doesn't want to be a team principal. He wants to come in as more of like ownership.
Yeah. He wants equity.
Yeah.
But he also believes that a team should be run by one man to make quick decisions instead of having to put it through a board. And Alpine, still backed by Renault. That's an issue. It's like the French Ferrari.
Absolutely.
That's very good. Very good.
But it's a good move by Red Bull to remove Christian and then obviously Helmut at the end. Look, I mean, Helmut probably wasn't going to go much longer anyway if he did stay.
Oh, he was pretty stubborn. He was pretty adamant to hang around, eh?
Yeah.
So, but you think it was a smart move by Red Bull? A good move?
For the future, yes, of course.
Yeah. Feels like we're moving away from that style of management, that sort of...
Yes, well,
the big figure becoming more corporate, I guess. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, well, looks are everything. And, like 15 years ago, it was kind of cool that they were the rebels with rock music in the garage and stuff. But nowadays, everything is wide open. The people who buy merch now, and that's men and women, young people. Yeah, they get offended over the smallest things. They're looking for stuff to get offended about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see my background, but I've got Callum Nicholas' book there, Life in the Pit Lane, and there was like 2 sentences about how they pranked Jonathan Wheatley by putting porn on his laptop when there were guests coming.
Would not get away with that.
But Twitter. Just like a certain part of Twitter who hates Red Bull, they were freaking out about that. Red Bull is a disgusting team. They have a team principal who's abusing women, and then there's people putting porn on PCs. Yeah. I'm from a culture where guys prank each other that way all the time.
Yeah.
So
things have definitely changed. Like the professionalism, all about the commercial interests. One bad slip up, one bad word, whatever it is, it's just...
Yeah, it's going to be costing.
It snowballs.
Yeah.
And it snowballs so much, obviously, with social media now. Well, I want to bring up my favorite driver on the grid,
Okay.
No bias here. Liam Lawson.
Really?
2 races
Is that your
in.
favorite driver?
Well, he is. You got to go for your hometown guy, right? So 2 races in.
I keep forgetting you're a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Because you don't sound like one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. All the Kiwis live in
bit
Australia
mixed.
now anyway, because it's clearly better. No.
What did our old Prime Minister say back in the 70s? Because there was obviously a big influx of Kiwis going to Australia. He said, that's okay. It raises the IQ in both countries.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, go on.
See, I traveled a bit.
Yep.
I traveled all the way through Ireland and Northern Ireland and Scotland and Wales and England. And I kept meeting these backpackers. And then one time I met this girl from New Zealand. She was probably from South New Zealand with a really strong accent. So I asked her, what's your name? And she said, Illan. I said, Eileen? And she goes, no, Illan.
Illan.
I was like, what? I said, how do you spell that? Just E-L. I said, can you write it down? So she wrote down Ellen.
Have you seen that clip going around where there was a guy, I think he was on a radio show or something, and it's like about giving advice to your younger self, and he says, spend less time with dickheads. But he's saying spend less time
with the kids.
Dickheads.
Yeah.
Spend less time with the kids. That's how it sounded.
What's the advice you give to your younger self?
Spend less time with dickheads.
Spend less.
Less time with dickheads. They just waste your time.
I can't believe a father would say spend less time with your kids.
No, dickheads.
What's he saying?
Dickheads.
Mate, that's gold. That's gold. Gets me every time.
Classic.
But yeah, that's when I learned the difference between the Aussie accent and the Kiwi accent. Anyway,
Definitely.
I interrupted your Liam Lawson story.
Oh yeah, back to Liam Lawson. So when that all happened, what were your thoughts about that? Do you think it was the right move? Do you think it was unfair?
I hate to say this, but I don't really rate Liam Lawson all that high.
Really?
Yeah, because
All right, get off. we end this right here, mate.
Like Max, when he started racing, he was punchy straight away, but then he backed it up with these crazy moves, in Toro Rosso when he overtook Nasser on in Spa, where Crofty went, it's bold, it's brave, it's beautiful, and then obviously Max got into crashes. Most of the time with Grosjean, and when he got to Red Bull, he was annoying Kimi Raikkonen by not letting him pass. Keep moving on the braking and all that stuff. So he was punchy and he was cheeky, but he backed it up with massive, great performances. Now Liam Lawson has fallen out with all drivers on the grid at some point, Alonso and Carlos Sainz, and you name them. He gets into plenty of scraps, but those top results, like finishing a P4 at some point, or going from the back all the way into the points, these things they're missing. So what's left is just a cheeky, annoying kid. And the only thing I like about him is the social media stuff he does with VCarb.
VCarb to do good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a little bit different though? Because if you think about how, fragmented his career has been. So he came in 2023, mate, you've just got limited opportunity to prove yourself. So you're probably going to err on the side of maybe a bit more risk to try and prove yourself. This is his first season. He's staying in the same car, say based on last year, into his first full-time season. Does that make sense? Because naturally, that jump into Red Bull was a new team, which we all thought was too early anyway, to be honest. We thought that promotion came too early. But obviously this year is going to be make or break in reality. That's how I see it. You think he's just too erratic?
I just think there's a bit of a skill issue, like he's an awesome driver, but maybe not for Formula One.
Yeah.
Maybe he's better for IndyCar or Super Formula or
Well, he's done Super Formula. He almost
Yeah, he
won
done
Super
that.
Formula in his debut season.
And-
I think it went to the last.
What is it, DTM or?
He almost won DTM as well.
Yeah.
In his first season, that went down to the little final race.
And
basically every category he's been in, he's been a race winner.
Maybe I'm wrong, but at least this season he knew up front what was happening. He went through whole preseason testing, and he's got a rookie teammate that he should beat.
He needs to be the leader of the team.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
And then if that doesn't happen, then he might be out, and then there's going to be a new Red Bull driver, a youngster, and that's what the team is for.
Do you see anyone in the pipeline that you are quite excited about?
I'm a business owner, and I have a wife and children. I know myself. If I really like something, then I hyper focus on it. So that's why I'm staying away from F2 and F3, because otherwise I'll not leave the house.
That is true.
So I wouldn't know who's in the lower regions of the Red Bull junior teams.
Yeah.
I think the Japanese drivers are pretty much done in Red Bull now because of the
Honda
connection with Honda is gone. So
It's gone, yeah.
you know,
So do you think Yuki will stay as the reserve driver, say 27?
I think there might be a possibility that Yuki goes to Haas because of Ayu Komatsu
Toyota.
being Japanese and Toyota really wanting a Japanese driver in there.
Driver.
And I think the reserve driver for Haas is like a 31-year-old or something.
Well, it's Hirakawa, isn't it? Hirakawa's definitely in his 30s.
He's in his 30s for sure.
We've still got Iwasa with Racing Bulls.
Yeah.
So obviously the Honda connection then. So you sort of wonder what sort of deals were made, like we were talking about before with the Red Bull powertrains, obviously the backing of Honda. And I believe there's still contracts in place. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's just something I sort of skipped over at one point. They still require so much technical expertise from, say, Honda for when they run their old cars at promos
yes.
stuff like that.
I think Tsunoda got his reserve driver's job, and then Honda supplied those 2-year-old the engines for the cars they driven 2 years ago, because of filming days or a certain testing days for juniors. They have to use cars that are 2 years old.
That's where there's some sort of hookup still.
Yeah, there's still a connection.
Well, we're going to go to Oscar Piastri. We're going to throw some Aussie goodness in there.
Yeah.
Now, here we go. This is where you can rip into McLaren and maybe take a stab at Lando. Bias at McLaren. This whole Papaya rules. What's your take on it? Are we going to see the same thing this year? Where do we go with McLaren?
We talked about how wholesome teams need to be nowadays. The ambition of McLaren to let them race and not favor anybody, it's kind of wholesome. Except that by trying to implement that, they're not letting them race, because in the last 3 seasons, I think I have 4 occasions where drivers were forced to let each other through. And that's not racing, Team orders are not racing. They opened up Pandora's box by doing that thing in Hungary. I believe Lando had every right to stay in the lead because Oscar wasn't quick enough to catch up with Lando. So yeah, I think you forfeit. Is that how you say it? How you forfeit the right to get that race win. And Lando was still in a title fight. So if Lando had said, no, screw you guys, I'm in a championship, he's not quick enough to overtake me, I'm winning that race, that would have set a precedent. But he moaned and he moaned and he moaned, and then he did it eventually. He did it too late, so he didn't even have time to race him, which was stupid. Okay, so you have these Papaya rules. To me, your teammate dynamics, you're in control of that yourself. So I don't want to keep coming back to Max. But the dynamics between Max and Carlos Sainz at Toro Rosso were pretty much level. And then when they told Max to give up his position in, was it Malaysia or Singapore? It was Singapore. Max said, no! And he just did not do it. And in the interviews afterwards, he said, well, I'm just happy with my position and we'll talk about it with the team. And that was it. And they never asked him again until Brazil 2022. And then he refused again. Oscar last season in Hungary should have said, no, if you have a slow pit stop, that's racing, and I'm not giving up that position. I'm leading in the standings. I've got Max, behind me. That's it. I'm not doing it. And that would have set a precedent. And there's a mental blow to that as well. Having a teammate that's so stubborn and not doing it. Yeah. So, and what happened in the dynamics is that Lando bumped into Oscar in Singapore, and nothing was done by the team. That messed Oscar Piastri up. Things went downhill from much further downhill. The race before that was Baku, so he already crashed there. But this could have been the way up for him again, And then having Lando, who's mentally not as robust as some of the world champions we had in the last while. If you refuse a team order one time to Norris and you tell him he's a dickhead behind closed doors, then that's Lando's season done.
So you think he missed out on a bit more of like the mind game side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, they fought tooth and nail. Yes?
Yeah.
But Rosberg won the 2016 championship because of all the mind games, and he just would not back down.
Yeah,
that's what the sport is about.
Yeah, true.
To be honest, I was a little surprised because when you have someone like Mark Webber in your corner, short time ago was fighting for a championship with the young Sebastian Vettel, and I just thought he would have, possibly just given him that nudge just to be a little more ruthless. I think this season we will see a different Oscar Piastri.
I hope so.
Well, I think we have to.
I think also we see a different Lando Norris. I'm really interested to see Lando Norris, how he actually approaches this season. Because Lando, to me, doesn't seem to be like a hungry champion that wants more titles, more wins. Is that a good thing for him? Because now he can just basically go and relax and the monkey's off his back. He's got that title, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to prove anything anymore.
It works both ways. I think he reads all the comments about him being a lame champion and the worst champion in years, and he's worse than Damon Hill, who wasn't a good champion. That's all the stuff you're reading.
Yeah.
I think he does hear that, and he might want to prove his worth again by winning another championship.
Yeah, possibly.
Because that would tell the naysayers something. But yeah, if Oscar comes out of the corner swinging, then Oscar needs to assert his dominance ASAP.
No, I agree. I think he has to, because if he doesn't, he'll put himself in a position where he's going to be forced to do what he did last year. So he needs to draw the line in the sand and go, right, you start. I'm not copping this shit.
It doesn't even need to be fair,
Yeah.
Like Sebastian Vettel on Webber.
Yeah.
The agreement was multi-21. Yeah, I'm not going to apologize for trying to win a race.
So do you think Oscar's a better driver than Lando?
Well, I think Oscar can still improve on a lot of things. Like from what I've been hearing, that he struggles on low grip tracks. The way he crumbled last season, that needs to be studied as well. But it's not strange to do that in your third season, because that's what people are forgetting, because he has a bunch of wins already.
Yeah.
A third season in that circus, you're still a baby then,
Yeah. This is the issue we have in Australia when we talk about bias and stuff like that. It's like with Oscar, it was like no one wanted to talk about him in his first 2 years. Okay, yes, he goes to Australia, and it's like, oh, he's the hometown hero, but no one sort of cared. And then this year, it was like he started winning more races. Everyone just jumped on board. And then the moment he started to fall away, everyone jumped off board, and he was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Or they just blatantly just blame McLaren for everything. But we had the same thing as well with Ricciardo, right? It was the same thing where, okay, he comes onto the scene, there's not a lot of media exposure on him, but it's once he then, gets into the top team, starts winning some races, then all that exposure is there. And then once he, his downfall started, performances weren't there. It was like they're very quick to...
But would you say the media down under is really harsh on their own sports people.
Yeah.
Like, do they really mean it, or is it just a bit of an attitude?
We seem to be quick to try and find the next superstar.
Yeah.
And we build these people up so quickly, and it only takes one thing, and it's like, that's it. Then we just tear them straight down.
It's not necessarily the public, it's more the media.
It's more the media.
Yeah, the media.
Yeah, the media side. So,
yeah.
It'll probably sell, you know.
Well,
that's the problem as well. The clickbait of it all as well. I mean, Liam Lawson, he's got plenty of support in New Zealand now, but as he was coming up through the ranks, there was basically nothing on him. Like no sort of media acknowledgement or anything. And then obviously once he got his first shot, then it was sort of big story. Because Formula One in New Zealand, realistically, our golden era was like the 60s.
Yeah, with McLaren.
And then there was...
With Bruce McLaren.
And Denny Hulme winning the world title, I think, in 69, Chris Amon at Ferrari. And then it just sort of, we didn't have anyone in the early 80s, a guy called Mike Thackwell.
No, I know a New Zealand driver.
And then Brendan Hartley came. So then Brendan Hartley got his shot. But, I mean, he was more of a stopgap.
Have you ever looked at Brendan Hartley when Max Verstappen attacked Ocon?
Yes.
And he's standing there in the back and he goes...
Yeah.
None of my business.
Nothing to do with me.
But Brendan's a really nice guy. I've actually spent some time with him.
Okay.
When he came here for the Dubai 24-hour race. I think he'd just come to Porsche at the WEC.
Yeah.
And then he was driving the GT3 or 911, whatever it was out here. It's a great event because it's one of those local events where no one really goes. So you're just walking through the pits and everything. Kubica was racing as well. Yeah, really nice guy. And they won the race in the end. And then, there was the following season he made his debut with Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
But it always felt a bit of a stopgap. It was like at the time Red Bull didn't really have anyone, I think, with enough super license points.
I think they kicked him out and then they took him back again and they kicked him out again. And
yeah, because at that point in time, he wasn't a Red Bull affiliated back driver at that point.
And they did that a lot because it happened to Danny Kvyat as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kvyat.
The torpedo.
Yeah. And it was the same thing even with Australia. Like it took, Alan Jones was the last world champion, right? We had Brabham in the early 90s. David Brabham, I think it was. He was teammates to Rotzenberg at the time. And then there was no one for a long time. Webber finally came onto the scene. And then it felt like Formula One in Australia then started to pick up a little bit. And particularly, again, he finally gets into a team, starts winning. And then Formula One's on the front page.
Yeah.
And then we get Ricciardo. Now we're onto Oscar Piastri. So would be good to see Piastri get a world championship. Been a long time.
Yeah.
Would be very good.
After Max retires.
Well, speaking of retires, how long do you think he's actually going to hang around? Because in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, I've always thought Max isn't a legacy guy. So for me, he's not like Hamilton, where it's like Hamilton, his blinkers are on being at the top, 8 world championships. Yeah. It's very important to his legacy. Whereas when I look at Max, for me, he doesn't care how many wins he has. He doesn't care how many world championships he has. It's like he'll just race for the love of it. And when he's out of love with it, I'm going to go and race something
Max
else.
is very realistic. You need a bit of luck to win that many championships. Lewis Hamilton fans will hate me for this, but he was pretty lucky to be a rookie at McLaren when they had a championship-winning car. He had a feisty teammate in Alonso, but then Alonso fell out of favor with Ron Dennis, and so that was quite messy. But anyway, in 2008, Lewis Hamilton won his first championship, also in a bizarre way, with Crashgate being that important, and then finishing 5th in the last race because one guy is on the wrong tires. Is that Glock? Yes. And then he went to Mercedes. Now, that choice was good because Mercedes at the time was nowhere. But Niki Lauda probably told him, hey, we've been working on that V6 engine since 2007, so that engine's going to be good. And then the regulations also didn't change for 8 seasons. That's another thing. You know, like nowadays, there's a cost cap. There's the wind tunnel sliding scale. And the regulations keep changing every 4 years. If all those things that had happened to Mercedes in 2014, then after 2018, Lewis might not have won all these championships. So yeah, that he has 7, he's been pretty fortunate. And Max realizes that, yeah, you need that sort of fortune to win that many championships. And he's not going to worry about it, because if you worry too much, you won't get old. That's what he says. And to come back to when he's going to retire, I think Max is a guy that does what he says. He says, yeah, I have a contract at 2028. He's probably going to do other stuff. Unless he's certain that he can win again in 2029. Stick it for another year.
So you're saying you think he'll stick around Red Bull till 2028, even if the car this year and next year's not so great?
If it's really bad, like he always says, I'm not going to be driving around in P8, P9 positions. And then, there's a couple of teams that would welcome him with open arms.
Yeah. Now, so you think he'd jump to another team, or he'd jump ship altogether?
Yeah, I think he'll go to another team. He has connections with Mercedes because his racing team drives with Mercedes. But he's been driving with an Aston Martin before that, so he has his
there's connections all over.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Honda connections at Aston, Newey. Yeah, and look, every team's going to throw the checkbook at him if
he's at the right. He's the best driver on the grid at the moment. Yeah, okay, we're talking about maybe possibly George Russell winning the championship this year, but it's not because he's the best driver on the grid. It's because he's probably going to be in the best car.
Yeah.
So,
although
in saying that, rate Russell higher.
Yeah.
Of course. I think Russell.
I keep rating him higher because I thought last season he was a lot less annoying with the crying over the radio. Like he could, do a blatant foul to another driver, and he goes, "He drove right into me," like to a point where even Brundle says, "And then he didn't, Russell," or then he didn't, George.
Russell elevated himself last year to a
pretty high level.
top tier driver.
Yeah,
I think I had him as he was probably my driver of the year.
He still could be like a little fragile as well. Like if if Antonelli starts annoying him, because the race that Antonelli beat him last season, he was moaning about the car and it was this and it was that and.
Well, that's the thing, right? George has always been the young upstart. Now he's the senior guy who's got a kid that's, man, realistically, he's a gun, right? Antonelli's going to be a gun. Now he's going to have that young upstart trying to upstage him.
It'll be an interesting dynamic because when you look at Russell's career, he's always been quite team first focus. Even when he was at Williams, worked well with Latifi, and even, Mercedes, when he came on with Lewis, he kind of knew his place. It's like, it's Lewis's team. He was happy to play the team game.
Yeah, but I think he's a bit of a poser as well, Remember Zandvoort 2022? Max pitted behind the safety car. So he gave up track position to get in line again in P3 behind the 2 Mercedes cars. And Lewis Hamilton was in front. And then George drove a couple of laps behind the safety car, and then I had to go through the pit straight to make sure that the straight was going to be cleared up. Yep. And then he said, "Hey guys, pit me because I don't think I can get these tires to last." So he got fresh tires, and that was the right choice. And in that way, instead of being a buffer for Hamilton, so Hamilton could get his win, he left Hamilton stranded with older tires and Max behind him on soft tires. He was getting deja vu. Hamilton did have a massive rant after that race. Like, "Oh, you won't believe how fucking pissed I am right now." George Russell, he's playing the team game as long as it favors him and it looks good. But when push comes to shove, he's just as selfish as anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be.
At the end of the day, you've got to be, right? Formula One.
I appreciate it.
You have to be.
What part of the 2026 season, drivers, teammate battles, certain races, are you looking forward to the most?
Well, Zandvoort, because I'm going there.
You're going there?
Yeah.
How long has Zandvoort got the contract for?
This is the last season.
This is the last one?
So they're not renewing?
No. Zandvoort is being organized by a couple of investors without any help of the government.
That's right. They tried to get government help, right? And the government...
Yeah, they said no. And then Zandvoort, it's like a really small town. And that place, like all of a sudden a couple of 100,000 people need to go through that little town, and they make a party out of it. But yeah, at some point, enough is enough.
Yeah, I felt like 2025 wasn't as big as it had been.
No, like in 2021, the first time, people, they had to write in to get tickets.
Like a ballot.
Yeah.
So
Is that what we call it, a ballot?
Yeah,
So
like
if
a
you-
It's like a
you
lottery.
You lottery ballot.
yeah,
like
like a ballot, yeah.
And a lot of people were disappointed when they didn't get tickets. But, after a while, that died down. And last year, they sold out maybe on the very last day when the weather was a little bit better.
Is that the only Formula One you've attended live?
No. I've been to Spa twice. I went to Spa in 2017 and Max DNF'd because of a Renault sparkling plug. 2019, I went again, and then he had that incident with Kimi Raikkonen in turn 1. So he DNF'd.
So don't go to Spa.
No. And then I went
clearly the
to
issue.
Austria in 2023, and that was a sprint race, and he won both.
Yeah.
Austria looks like a cool one to go to as well.
That was amazing.
Mick, you have done something that not many people have done because it was a long time ago. Didn't you go to the 1988 Adelaide Grand Prix?
Yeah, so that's how I actually got into Formula One. My dad got tickets. I still remember the day, man. I was sitting in my room, bunk beds. My little brother was underneath. I was sitting on the top. My dad come in, pulled out these tickets, went like that. He goes, "Want to go see the Formula One?" I was only like, I think,
You would have been 6.
6 or 7 years old. Road trip to Adelaide from Brisbane took like 3 days.
Because you drove there.
Yeah.
And you took motels and stuff.
No, I drove there, stayed in like a caravan, like a mobile tent caravan thing.
Was it dangerous? Because I know these roads, if you break down, then you're not going to see anybody for days.
The cars back in 1988 probably
You've been
weren't.
watching a bit of Wolf Creek or something, one of those movies, haven't you?
No, it's just Australia has a very dangerous reputation.
Oh, mate, everything over there wants to kill you.
Yeah, most things in Australia will kill you. We went, and my dad was a massive Nelson Piquet fan. Yeah, and then ever since then, it was sort of like, always followed Formula One, I guess, watched it, like always been interested in it, but obviously the time zone too is really hard. And then they stopped putting it on free to air. It was like you had to have pay TV to watch it. And then I guess 2012.
When you came here.
When I came for the first time, and we saw Lewis Hamilton.
I have a picture of him, because Hamilton, he came to a local, you could say, shopping mall. And there weren't many people there. It was 2012. And yeah, he walks in and he looks at us and goes, "Hey guys." And Michael, the only way I can explain it is like, think of like a, and look, I'm probably, we're older, so you probably understand as well, but it was like a teenage girl that maybe like seeing
Lando Norris for the first
Backstreet
time.
Boys. No, the Backstreet Boys or something. NSYNC, Justin Timberlake. I don't know. It was like this look of like, it was like this excitement. But it was cool. It was really cool, particularly those early days with the Formula One here, because we've been most years since 2012. But now it's growing exponentially, particularly since Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
We used to do the pit lane walk every time. And it was easy. Not many people did it, just obviously pure fans. But now that the net is widened, it's actually quite hard to get into now.
Yeah, but it's with everything. What goes up comes down again at some point as well. There's going to be a financial crisis at some point. A couple of banks are going to collapse. There's, we have 11.
It's not looking good at the moment, mate.
That's why we got to get this podcast going, man.
We have 11 teams now, and we might have 9 in a couple of years. You never know. The hype for Formula One will disappear at some point as well, and then the diehard fans like you and me will stay, and then probably it'll get accessible again, perhaps as well.
So will you stick around once Max leaves, or?
Maybe not as intense, but then on the other hand, it might be nice to take a step back and look at it in a more neutral way.
I'm going to test your Dutch Formula One history.
Okay.
All right. How many Dutch drivers have there been in Formula One since 1950? How many do you think? Because it actually surprised me as well, looking into this.
I think it's about 20, less than 20.
You're not far off. Not bad. There's been, ChatGPT, is it right? 17. which did surprise me a little bit.
The guy that organizes the Zandvoort Grand Prix, he's a Formula One driver as well.
Okay.
Jan, I forgot his last name.
Lammers.
Jan Lammers.
Lammers?
Yes,
Yeah.
Jan Lammers. And then I think one of the first Formula One drivers was like a baron called Karel van Beaufort or something. Do you see that
Yes,
name?
there was a Carol Godin de Beaufort.
Yeah.
But there was someone before him, apparently in 1950, well, a couple in 1952. Jan Flinterman and I think Dries van der Lof.
Yeah, those names don't...
Clearly, I didn't say it with correct Dutch accent. But I do remember, Christian Albers,
Christian
Guido
Albers,
Vandergaard,
and then Robert Doornbos.
Robert Doornbos, yeah. And then what did you think of, just quickly, Nyck de Vries? Did he get enough time? Was it just the wrong place?
Nyck de Vries was a hire because Max said to Helmut Marko, hey, maybe that's an idea. He's a really nice guy because they go back a long time. Max said it out of the goodness of his heart, not because of proper racing qualities. And Marko, he wanted to keep Max on his side because the troubles in the background had already started. So he gave him that position. But then after 10 races, they kicked him out.
Yeah.
And then Christian Horner put Daniel Ricciardo in to get the Visa Cash App sponsoring. Because that had everything to do with Daniel Ricciardo driving there. So yeah, like in normal circumstances, Nyck de Vries would never had a chance in Formula One because it took him like 4 years to win the Formula 2 championship. You don't get that much time in Formula One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
I think if you haven't done it within 2 years Formula 2,
Yeah.
you're sort of considered.
You got to make it count when you get your shot, that's for sure. Speaking of making it count, I think we've taken up enough of your time.
Thank you so much
Mr.
for having me.
WimboFormula, thank you very much for stopping by. It was cool to get some of your insight on being a Max spurt, a bit of Dutch delusion chucked in there as well.
Definitely. It's better than British bias.
Well, yes, I agree.
There's only one thing better than Dutch delusion, and that's Aussie grid.
Yes, baby, that's
there
it.
you go.
Get in there.
Well, Piastri better bring some of that this year. That's for
I'm
sure.
surprised how little you guys swear.
Oh, man.
Because I had a mate when I was traveling, and this guy used to swear within the swearing.
I think the issue is my mum watches.
Right.
That's the issue.
Yeah, I think subconsciously maybe we just hold back, but as soon as the camera's off, it's fucking on. There you go. But no, thank you very much, man, for stopping by. We really appreciate it. It was super cool to listen to some of your insights.
I really enjoyed the conversation. And we're going to stay in contact,
Yes,
for sure.
100%.
100%.
Don't
Well, I don't know. You weren't,
don't love us and leave us straight
You weren't
away.
too complimentary of Liam Lawson. So.
No, and I was taking the piss out of Hamilton.
Well, I'll let that one slide because, like I said,
you almost convinced him, mate.
Almost
You almost convinced him.
convinced me that he wasn't robbed.
But I think you have to read the comments, and then I'll have to be convinced again.
No. But again, thank you very much. Hope you guys at home enjoyed it, and until the next one, we'll catch you later.
Catch up.
Doei.
There it is.
There it is. Oh, I wanted to
We were
say
talking
it.
about that at the start.
I wanted to say it. I forgot to say it.
Oh, man, very good. Very good.